So Elden Ring is out and the reviews are in, scoring a 97% on Metacritic, a 96 on OpenCritic, and a 61% on Steam? Yeah, you heard right. On Steam right now, it is sitting at mixed with about a 63% positive ratio. What it boils down to is the PC version of Elden Ring is a bad port. Now, it's not that surprising when you look at From Software's track record at releasing PC ports, but luckily the community was able to come together and make some mods to fix these and make it much more playable. So how bad is it really? I spent about 5 hours yesterday on stream playing it, and I ran into some pretty glaring issues. Now, my gaming rig itself is pretty beefy. It's more gaming rig than anyone ever needs. But even with all of that, the game did not want to stay at 60 frames. Now, honestly, if this had been the only issue, it would have been overlookable, but this is the most minor of them all. Sticking to the theme of graphical performance, the game looks good, but it's nowhere near the quality of games we're getting nowadays. Just go look at a game like God of War, that released in 2018. That was 4 years ago. Dark Souls 3 released in 2016, and this game looks just about the same. But Stryftek, haven't you said many times graphics aren't everything? Yes, I have, and they're not. The issue here is that the quality of graphics we're getting should mean we get more than 60 frames, and we shouldn't run into things like this. Yeah, that's me teleporting around trying to fight a boss. In all honesty, the graphics don't matter as much. Even the frame rate I'd be okay with if I didn't have to suffer through things like this. But given the pretty hefty system requirements this is wanting to run, you'd think it'd look a little better. Anyhow, moving on from graphical issues, yeah, there are other issues. So as I was first going through the game, I decided to adjust the brightness, and I got stuck in that menu because I didn't know how to back out. You'll see that down across the bottom, the button prompts are all for Xbox, but I was using a mouse and keyboard. So I tried all the obvious buttons, escape, backspace, delete, and home, anything I could think of. None of them worked. Eventually, I don't know what button I hit, but the submenu popped up and then I was able to back out. I then quickly found the option to change the on-screen promptings. Yeah, you actually have to go and change this. I can't think of a game in recent history that doesn't let you hot swap between controller and keyboard on the fly while changing all the on-screen button prompts. I know this because I'm almost always using both. A controller many times lets me get the cinematic sweeps and the slow walks, but usually I just prefer to play with a mouse and keyboard. Anyhow, after switching the setting, guess what the back button is? Q. It's Q. Who's using Q to go back? Then we have the mouse input. For one, the sensitivity is way too high. I had to change the in-game sensitivity to 0 and then my mouse DPI to 450, and then it was okay. And now though it was okay, it still just didn't feel right. The speed in which your character turned versus the movement your hand was making just didn't match up. Honestly, it's like they were taking the mouse input and using it like a joystick. It was bad enough I gave up and went to playing exclusively on my controller. What I've talked about here are only the things I ran into. The internet is filled with tons of other issues. It's bad enough that Bandai Namco has come out with a message regarding the performance. Honestly, it didn't have much, but they're at least acknowledging that there are issues and fixes on the way. When that'll be? Who knows? The biggest problem is that From Software games always have a certain vibe, a certain atmosphere about them. Elden Ring tries to uphold this, but ultimately these issues are ruining it. So as you're trying to get immersed in this world, the game jarringly sends you back to reality. Now, am I still playing it? Yeah, but content creator and all, gotta stay relevant, so on and so forth. Should you be playing it? Well, that's gonna depend on your tolerance to these sort of issues. And if you have a PlayStation. From what I've read, the console version is pretty solid and there's no issues over there. But if you want to play it on the PC, I'd probably say wait, which is hard. I know, we've been waiting for this game for how long now? Hopefully fixes are out soon and everything will be better. In the meantime, you could just hang out with me on stream as I fumble my way through it. I have never actually finished a From Software game, so this will be my first, hopefully.